described as a bewildering, creepy creature. He's a good friend of mine. He's a very, very funny man. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Kent Lambert.
I've done this a bit now, it never gets any easier. It's always very nerve-wracking to get up on stage. In fact, I got so stressed today that I needed to go and do that Asian thing with the needles. What's it called? No, heroin. While we're talking about criminal activity, a few of my friends would say you should take drugs. It's good for you, it broadens your mind. But I went to a party and I took some drugs. And I woke up the next day naked with a man's hand on my thigh. And as I walked away, I realised that one part of my anatomy had been broadened, but it wasn't my mind. So no more drugs for me. You've probably heard a lot about Mike Tyson over the last few weeks or so. He has been denied visa into New Zealand twice. That's good, isn't it? Did everyone know that? But he was actually accepted visa into Australia, which isn't really surprising, given their history of accepting convicts. You know? Yeah. I have a couple of props here. While we're talking about criminals and convicted criminals. Does anyone know this man? He's very attractive, isn't he? Eh? Ladies, line up, right? Yeah. Abu Hamza al-Masri was his name. He's just been extradited from the UK and taken to the US for questioning for terrorist activities. He would say things like, the homosexual have a common punishment amongst them and they have a virus to run after them wherever they go. Oh, that's lovely, huh? It's not called suicide, it's called martyring, because if the only way to hurt the enemies of Islam is by taking your life, then it is allowed. Yeah. The religion of peace. Those women who appear without the hijab deserve to be raped. And indeed, the rape is justified, a holy act, and those women, they shall surely be stoned to death. He's single, ladies. Yeah. What sort of intrigues me about this is this guy wasn't expelled from the UK for any of those statements, but when this picture appeared in the Sun, he was quickly extradited. I guess they were thinking, well, yeah, all that stuff about women, that's a bit bad, but you threatened Peter Pan, I tell you what. I have another prop. This here is Science 4 for Christian schools. While we're on the subject of religion, I'm just going to read an excerpt from it for you. Entitled, Chapter 3 for Christian schools, Science, by the way, electricity. Electricity is a mystery. No one has ever observed it, or heard it, or felt it. Except that guy in the thunderstorm, of course. We can only see and hear and feel only what electricity does. We know that it makes light bulbs shine, and irons heat up and telephones ring. But we cannot say what electricity itself is like. Science, it's science. We cannot even say where electricity comes from. Power station, maybe? Hydroelectric? Some scientists think that the sun may be the source of most electricity. Others think that the movement of the earth produces some of it. All anyone knows is that electricity seems to be everywhere. And that there are many ways to bring it forth. Like this girl here with her hairdryer. So, not that if you spin a magnet around a coil of wire that will produce an electric current. No, plug in your hairdryer and receive the Jesus juice. Science. I recently got my new first aid certificate. This is the certified. Thank you very much. Lambert has completed a Save a Life course. Who's done a first aid course before? Anyone? Yeah. Has anyone here actually had to use that stuff? No. Yeah. That's always the case, isn't it? I've been doing first aid now since I was about 12. I teach children how to swim, so it's very important. And I always feel like a little bit ripped off after I do a course because I never get to use it. I read an article in the Wainui News the other day about a woman who did her first aid course, and then the very next day she saved an old man's life who collapsed in front of her. And I'm thinking, that lucky bitch. Like she won the Save a Life lottery, you know? I'm really jealous about it. I was thinking that maybe I should hang out where old people do, maybe, and just like sneak up behind them. But particularly frail old woman, maybe, with a walking stick, and in an opportune moment go, bah! Like that. So then obviously she has a heart attack, and then I get a chance to practice. I mean, it doesn't really matter if she dies, at least I get to practice and I can use it for a real person, right? Oh, yeah, I know, sorry. One last prop. It's a callback to Rob's one. This is the eye. Has everyone seen the eye? Yeah. For me, it's the most frightening picture on our cigarette packets, and it says smoking causes blindness. Although that doesn't really work for me because my family have been telling me that things that I do are going to make me go blind for ages, and I haven't stopped them. Particularly my grandma, and she was a pack-a-day woman until she died of emphysema. Oh no, ouch. But she used to say, leave it alone, it'll make you go blind. I just wish I had this packet back then, when I was 8. I could say, well actually Grandma, according to modern medical research, because I do, I really enjoy masturbating. It's one of my favourite activities. And I enjoy everything about it right up to the very end. There's always just a slight disappointment at the end. The French, they call it le petit mort. Did you know that? Le petit mort, the little death. That's what they call the orgasm. It's like, oh, the little death. So, I'm wondering that in this new day and age of fantastic modern technology, if someone could come up with something that would take away that sting for me, that sting of the orgasm. I'm thinking, you know, like, and it wouldn't have to be like flash technology. I'm thinking something like, you know, those cards that when you open it goes, dun, 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 dun. That technology, but in a sheath. A sheath that I can slide on. And then when I come, it goes, woo! Yay! And maybe a few little shining lights. Wouldn't that be a good deal? So if anyone can come up with that, let me know. Thank you very much. I've been Ken Lambert.
Not so bewildering. I think that review came from the Christian Monitor.